Hello, welcome to Renaissance Math. My name is Joshua Thomas and I am one of the math teachers here at Renaissance. In this video, we are going to go through the course pathways, some of which you might take if you are a student here for the 4 years with Renaissance. If you are a student who is starting in 8th grade, that is with pre-algebra, you might take this pathway if you are looking for more rigorous or harder course selection. You might start in 9th grade with Algebra 1 in Renaissance, then go on to Algebra 2 in 10th grade. After that time, you'll have options. The first course is a little bit harder, where you will switch into RHP, Geometry, in 11th grade. Now, the difference between RHP and Renaissance is that RHP is a more traditional classroom setting, where students will be expected to know most of the basics of the mathematical knowledge and coursework prior to entering that class. You'll also probably be more expected to finish the work on time and on deadline and with less support than you might receive in Ren. After that course in geometry, you might take pre-calculus, and this would also be a partner course with RHP. Now, you would graduate in 12th grade with a pre-calc on your transcript. The other option is if you go from Algebra 2 in Renaissance into Renaissance Geometry. And that would be a more sheltered course where you receive more support, more time on assignments, and more assistance from the teacher. After that, you would probably go into math analysis, which is similar to pre-calculus. You'll be learning a lot of the same content and material. However, it will be at a much more slow pace, and there will be, again, far more support for the students in that course, and probably fewer students would take math analysis, which would help with the overall understanding of the material in that course. Either way, you would end up very close to finishing with a pre-calc as far as content is considered. And math analysis, as a note, is in fact a UC-approved course. Now, this is the second course option that you might take, the pathway. You might start again in 8th grade with pre-algebra from Renaissance. Then you might go down to Algebra 1A. Now, the difference between Algebra 1A and Algebra 1 above is that Algebra 1A is the first half of the Algebra 1 course. Now, what happens over that first 9th grade year, we would go at a slower pace, and that would give you more time to master the material. After that course, you would go on to Algebra 1B, which of course would be the second half of the full Algebra 1 course. So on your transcript, it would say Algebra 1A for 9th grade and Algebra 1B for 10th grade. Then after Algebra 1B, having completed the full Algebra 1 course, you would move on to Algebra 2 in 11th grade. Now, the reason this goes, as opposed to other schools, is that because we want to make sure that you don't forget any of the core material in algebra that you would need for Algebra 2. In other schools, they go Algebra 1, Geometry, then Algebra 2. We thought that didn't make so much sense, because why not just go straight from Algebra 1 into Algebra 2? So that's what we do here in 11th grade. And then after Algebra 2, you would move on to Geometry. And that would most likely be a Renaissance course. And then you would graduate with Renaissance Geometry in 12th grade on your transcript, having completed all your 8-3G courses, at least for math. Now, here's a third option that you might consider. Let's say that you do not believe yourself to be so strong in math generally. Well, you might start off in 8th grade with pre-algebra 1A. And much like the Algebra 1A course, it is the first half of a full pre-algebra course. You would start there in 8th grade, then you would move on to pre-algebra 1B/1A. And what would happen in 9th grade is that the first half of that year would be finishing off the pre-algebra 1 course load. Then you would be introduced in the second and third trimester into Algebra 1A material. After you master the Algebra 1A material in 9th grade, you would then move on to Algebra 1 proper. And that would be a normal Renaissance Algebra 1 course. That would be a full year of Algebra 1 in 10th grade. Following that, you'd be ready for Algebra 2. Again, that's a Renaissance course, not an RHP course. And then finally, you would end again in geometry with Renaissance for 12th grade. This is a pathway we suggest for folks who perhaps math is not their strongest subject, or they would like to master the fundamentals of math, or they're looking for a lighter coursework load over their 4 years here. Now, another option, and there you are graduating, or there a student is graduating, not necessarily you. Now, another course of action is the fourth pathway. And here what would happen, there are two possible ways you might go. You might start with pre-algebra 1b. Now, in the other option, you had pre-algebra 1a, which was the first half. And let's say you're a little stronger than you thought you were. You might start with pre-algebra 1b in 8th grade, which is the second half of pre-algebra. You would then go on to algebra 1a. That's the first half of algebra. Then you would move on in 10th grade to algebra 1b. After you've completed the entire algebra series, the algebra 1 series, you would go on to algebra 2, and that would be in 11th grade. After you've completed algebra 2, again, you would end with geometry. Now, the secondary option is as follows. Start again in 8th grade with pre-algebra 1b. Then, if you still feel you need extra support, go ahead and finish off pre-algebra 1 series with pre-algebra 1b/algebra 1a. The pre-algebra 1b series, you might be saying to yourself, well, isn't that the same as the pre-algebra 1b series in 8th grade? And I would say, sort of. And what I mean by that is you would be reinforced with information from pre-algebra 1b. Because remember, there's a 3-month period in between pre-algebra 1b and the next time you come back to see us, which we call the summer slide, where you might forget things, or you might have never mastered things in pre-algebra 1b, and you might feel more comfortable coming back and having a lot of that information reinforced so that you are stronger when you go into algebra 1a, which would be what happens at the end of 9th grade, same classroom, but different material. Then after that course, you would go into algebra 1b, your 10th grade year. After you finish your algebra 1 series, you would then end up in the same position with algebra 2 in 11th grade, and then again, geometry for your 12th grade year, and then happy graduation to you. And you will have succeeded in completing your math courses for both high school requirements and your A through G for UC approval. Now, those are the standard main pathways for math. Of course, there will always be exceptions for students who believe themselves to be exceptional in math, or they would like to challenge themselves with harder coursework and pacing. And of course, there's always summer school to supplement your learning, and also for remediation if you would like to take and master another math course again during the summer. Besides that, that covers the majority of students. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact any of the people you see here. This is as of the year 2022. Miss Amy Stewart Johnson, who teaches Ren Pre-Algebra Readiness, Ren Pre-Algebra 1A. Here's her email below. Myself, Mr. Thomas, I teach Pre-Algebra 1B, Algebra 1, Algebra 2. And then Miss B, who is in charge of Upper School Renaissance, will have other additional information as far as selecting courses and course scheduling is concerned. Besides that, we hope you have learned something about the math courses and pathways here at Renaissance and how they might interact with RHP. We hope to see you soon. Thank you. Go Huskies.